There was only 41 kids in my class. I mean, there was half girls and half boys about. And so, and a lot of the kids, some of them were loggers' kids and some were miners' kids, and a lot of them had to do work. And so you just went to school and did what you did. When the school bell rang, a bus took you home or you walked. And as soon as I got home, I had to get right in the barn and start to milk. And a lot of other kids had the same deal. They had to do the same thing.
Before people had a bathtub, they had to have a wash tub in the kitchen, and then you would fill that up. And of course, I was an only child, so I didn't have to follow somebody else into the tub, but families that had a lot of children, they didn't dump the water out every time. They used it because it was too hard to reheat it.
There was no showers, there was no nothing. It was a tough life. Tough life. A lot of hard work.
As a kid, even, 10, 12, 13 years old, we all had a role. I mean, my uncles and cousins, when we'd go to camp, there were things that we did, whether it was cut wood so my grandma could do the cooking in the cookhouse or whatever, but we had work to do, and you did your part.
We moved to Snoqualmie Falls because the logging company ran out of timber. And so he went up there and got a job for a warehouser. We lived there until I was in the 8th grade. And I wanted to finish the 8th grade there instead of moving to Issaquah, see. So I got a job being janitor, helping the janitor at the school.
I was probably 9 years old before we got an indoor bathroom. The sewer didn't come into Issaquah until about 1940.
My brother Wilbur and I, we were the two oldest, so we got involved in a lot of the farming at that time.
I had to milk 4 cows every day. And when I was 12 years old, I had to drive myself down because the cows were kept at my grandma's barn.
My dad, he started us kids milking when we were just little. He says, you kids is good enough, doing well enough milking, you might as well start milking a few cows. So he had us milking cows, and it wasn't long before we were getting up in the morning before we went to school, milking 10 cows a piece by hand, and had to come right home from after school, and here was these 10 cows because we were milking about a total of 60-some cows in all.
I stayed in one of the houses, and he had a wife and a little baby. And I had to milk his cow in the morning, then walk over to the school, and help him in the evening to sweep the schoolhouse, sweep all the stuff. And until I graduated out of the 8th grade. 1936 is when I started school in Issaquah.
You had coal and wood stoves, so you had to haul in the coal and haul out the ashes. You didn't have any hot water. First of all, you had to build a fire early in the morning to start heating the water that was in the tank, which that could take quite a while. You had usually a wringer washer that if you didn't have some kind of a setup outside, you had to do it in the house by the kitchen sink. Then set up tubs to rinse the clothes in, and then take them out and hang them on the line. Hopefully it wasn't going to rain. If you did, you had a wooden rack that you hung the clothes on to dry by the stove.
Between my 9th and 10th grade year, I drove a dump truck through Issaquah, right down Front Street, and hauled gravel from Sycamore to where they did the fill, because that was a wetland down at the old Hilo Shopping Center, every day, all summer long.
Plus we had calf pens to take care of and barns to clean, and didn't have much time to monkey. My dad kept after us quite a bit, because he never gave us an allowance. He said, if you want anything, you earn it.
In them days, you had chickens and cows and horses, and they didn't have the tractors and stuff like that. You had the horses to do this stuff, and it was labor, it was work. And all these kids that had farms, they were pretty husky boys because they worked all the time.
When we got old this Mrs. Corolla, she was a widow. She started raising chickens, And then when they'd buy the little chicks come from the hatchery, why, they'd put them in the chicken house. She'd ask us children to come to keep those chickens so they don't swarm and they pile on each other, you know, and they die that way. So she'd give us maybe 25 cents.
When I was 12, I went to work at the grain Serview and started, like I said earlier, sorting pop bottles. And that was my sole task every Saturday, and did some just cleanup type of thing, clean up the butcher shop and so forth. And then worked into a box boy, and then worked into, actually worked there until I was still working there when I was in college.
I picked beans and pickles and hazelnuts off the ground. So the most we ever got was 25 cents.
I started working probably when I was about 15 or 16 on the construction jobs during the summer. I sat on a backhoe and dug ditches, water lines, installed septic tanks, did all that, and then the next year I was on a bulldozer digging foundation holes and clearing lots, and as we were slowly working our way up the mountain to build houses. Then when I was just out of college, well actually when I was in college, I began working in the office, on the books and doing that sort of stuff. So I had a pretty good, well-rounded experience from the construction business, starting from a ditch all the way through to working in the office.
My brother, in order to earn some money, when he was about 14 or 15, the fishermen used eels for bait, and my brother used to collect eels from the creeks around. In fact, he used to get them from Tibbetts Creek, and that was good money, 50 cents a dozen. So I had to go down to the creek and catch those eels to replenish.
Oh, it was tough. Had to get up 4 o'clock in the morning, all the weather, 7 days a week.
After school, I had to go to the store first. That was during the war, so things were rationed.
I'd start at about 4 in the afternoon after school, milk cows, take care of calves, do cleaning, and we'd get in to eat supper about 7 o'clock.
My dad grew most all the food we ate during the summer, and my mom would find out whoever she could find out that had extra fruit or something like that, and we'd go pick that and canned everything that you could to get ready for the winter.
A lot of people paid by trading things. My dad would pay them in chickens, because we had a lot of chickens too. And you paid, a lot of times you paid that way. And then the pay, there wasn't very much. I mean, not like now.
I didn't have an automatic hot water tank until I had 2 kids. And by then I thought that was the biggest miracle